I want to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about a lot about finances and how to steward godly finances, and why talking about finances is something that we shouldn't be afraid of, and it's something that God has empowered us to do. And I believe that finances are a big part of our life, of our Christian walk. And I don't know many people who don't have to work out finances. Is there anyone who never talks or needs to do anything with finances? All right, everyone, right? It touches everyone. And I found even personally that finances can be this like fear barrier. And that oftentimes we allow God in so many parts of our lives, in our spiritual walk and how we connect with God. But when it comes to things in financial areas, we kind of are like, I don't even want to look in it, God. I'm too scared. Like, I can't even get it sorted right now. I'm just going to keep trucking along and praying that things work out. And prayer is good for sure. But the reality is God has answers to your problems. He's got solutions. And there's ways that you can bring those solutions. I remember, trouble in finances doesn't just affect what we would consider poor. It affects people in all areas of life, in all levels of society. And I was in one of the most richest counties in Virginia. I was ministering out there, building a relationship with the church out there. They have one of the biggest food pantries in the state, and it was in the biggest county, one of the richest counties, and literally the churches that the houses that were around the churches were McMansions. Like, they were pumping these mansions out, and it's like a massive house, one of the biggest houses I've seen, and there's a little bit of space, and then there's another massive house, looks just like the same one, different color, but they're big. And I'm going, and I said, why do you guys? You're one of the richest counties. You're one of the, and they said, well, most of the people around us, not most, but many, are house poor. And I said, well, what's that mean? They said, well, they actually financed so much of their house, and they had, and then the recession hit, and they were stuck paying. They still pay all their bills, but what's left over, they have nothing for food. And so the church is actually feeding a lot of the families around that were what they considered house poor. And so I want to break that poverty mindset. I think as Christians, we need to be one of the signs and wonders of the area and of the city. When people see a Christian's life, that they say, wow, this person went from brokenness to wholeness in every area. The word for peace means nothing missing. The word for peace, shalom, in Hebrew, literally means nothing missing, nothing broken, total wholeness. That's what it means. And when you say peace to you in your house, it's like not just the outside looks okay, but also the inside. And so many of us, we have a lot of great things going for us. Maybe our relationship with God is strong. We have things that are right with our marriage, but financially we might be in a bit of a mess, or it might be chaotic. And even if those things aren't something that are an issue right now, it's always good to have godly biblical principles so that you know how to tackle when things might go awry. Is this okay to talk about? You guys okay? You guys look like deer in headlights. It's okay though. It's just me. I just got to get over it. And so I want to have a conversation about this tonight. And they say the two most important times to plant a tree is 20 years ago. That's your first most important time to plant a tree, is 20 years ago, and today. So whether you feel like it's too late, it's not too late. Whether you feel like it's too much of a mess, it's not too much of a mess. I want to break the lies that the enemy tries to speak over you, that keep you discouraged, that keep you bound, that keep you like, I made this problem and now I'm stuck in it and I deserve my mess. It's like, no, you've made that problem, you might be stuck in it, but Jesus is with you in the problem. He's going to get you out. And he's brought a family together to help get you out of it. And so I brought the beautiful, amazing Bob Harrington here this evening to have a discussion about it. Bob's been a member of our congregation for many years. He has owned a successful business for 20 years. Before that, he was in his vocation was in the telecom industry, and he's been teaching Financial Peace University for 20 years after he got out of the business industry. I'm sure he still does stuff in business, but when he sold his business, he'd been doing FPU for 20 years since then. He also is married to the lovely Pat Harrington, his better half, who's sitting in the audience. Bob has 5 kids, 12 grandkids, and 12 great-grandkids. So he's a man of inheritance. And one of the things I think is awesome about Bob that many people don't know is he is the 7-time mini sprint car champion of New Mexico. 6 in New Mexico, 1 in Indiana. Is that right? So we have a champion among us this evening. So I'm just going to ask Bob a few questions. And Bob, did I leave anything out? Not yet. So gracious. Well, Bob, how did you get started in all this? I mean, you've owned a successful business, but, why Financial Peace University? Why would you be drawn to something like this?
Okay, well, after I sold that business that I had for 20 years, I had another business that took me to the southern part of the state, down around Roswell and Hobbs and, down in the oil patch. And when I was driving around down there, if anybody here has been there, you know that the towns are little bitty and they're way far apart. So to amuse myself when I was driving from one place to the other, I'd try to listen to the radio. And out there, you cannot always get rock and roll, but you can always get talk radio. And since that's essentially West Texas, whether the governor likes it or not, it's West Texas. Anyway, Dave Ramsey, which is Financial Peace University, is really big in those areas. And so I would listen to the same Dave Ramsey radio show 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. Got interested in it, sounded like it would make a really good addition for me and Pat. And they were having a live show in Phoenix, and I convinced Pat to go. We went, we got enthused, we bought the package, the FPU package, found a church here that was presenting it, and it was the second class ever done in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so we went through that, started following what we had learned, and it was making so much difference, not only in our financial life, but actually as a relationship, or in our relationship. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. I thought it'd be great to bring it to New Life City. I introduced it to Alan. He said, let's do it. And until we moved to Indiana, we were doing it about every year. We did it back there for the church we were involved with there. And then when we came back, Alan, literally in the same breath as he was telling me he was glad I was back, said, can you do FPU again? I thought I'd put him off for a little bit. I said, one condition, that the whole staff of New Life City goes through it before we introduce it to the congregation. And he called my bluff. So we had it for them, and then we had it for the congregation, and it's been about every 2 years since then. So it made such a difference in our life. We get unsolicited testimony frequently from folks that go to this church. And it's full of information that if you can get a hold of these principles and put them into play, and we're going to help you do that from at any point in your life. But I see a lot of young people over here. If we can get you to come to this class, you guys are invited. If you grab a hold of these concepts and follow them, it will bring you peace to go with your spiritual peace. It's hard to stay focused on your family and on peace that we're promised if the wolf's at the door all the time. And this is going to help keep that away.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and as a pastor, I do pastoral meetings and meet so many different people, and finances are a big part of often the chaos in their life. And it was a chaotic thing for me in my life at moments. And I always found that getting back to the principle was, especially of what we learn in Financial Peace University, really helped facilitate healing in the financial aspects of my life. And I think that's what really helps. And I just encourage you guys, as we're talking, I want faith to build in your heart for whatever financial things you want to overcome, that God can overcome it. And hopefully it encourage you to also take part in this with us as a church and as a city. All right, so Bob, you took it. I know that, even being a business owner, you still saw that financial peace. I mean, you were in business. Why would you need Financial Peace University? Why would you and Pat need that? I mean, weren't you?
Well, Pat and I were blessed. When we started going together and when we were first married, we had corporate jobs where we were grossly overpaid. And we had a business for 20 years that did pretty well. And but we weren't taught really the Lord's way to manage money, or actually any way to manage money. My folks didn't teach us. Most of the people in here, their parents probably didn't give them much instruction. You certainly don't learn it in the schools. And not banging on any particular church, but churches don't teach it either. The only time you hear about it quite often, and this is just in church in general, is when they get ready to build a new wing or buy a new bus or put in a new sound system or some such thing.
Which we all need.
Which we all need.
But
that's the only time they want to talk about it. To be fair, you can't teach this stuff from the pulpit. It has to be done on a personal level, and there's too many elements that can't be done in a 30-minute sermon. And that's another reason why we wanted to bring it to New Life City and to keep it going here, is to take that load off our spiritual leader. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. I think I'm just so grateful that Paul is here, and he is our new, I guess, head. Yeah, he's the boss. He's the head of the family here at New Life City, and he has seen and understands why his family needs to know this. I'm not sure the exact quote, but it's in the Bible. Somebody can help me out. About a wise man or a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean money or real estate or fancy cars or jewelry or whatever. It means that you leave them the wisdom, that you pass down the wisdom that we're going to be teaching. If your kids are idiots about money and you leave them a lot of money, then you've got idiot kids with money.
For a short time.
Yeah, for a short time. So we want to make sure we pass that down before we worry about actual wealth.
Well, I know you have stats about this, but why do you think everyone else should take? That you and Pat sorted it out and found your spending, and so you got these budgets down and all that stuff. But what about everyone else?
Well, going back to just Pat and myself, and then we've also become counselors through the Dave Ramsey organization. We know personally firsthand that getting a handle and being able to communicate to each other in a relationship about your finances and your financial goals is one of the best things you can do for your marriage. It's almost more marital counseling than it is financial counseling. Mm-hmm. So there's that. The other thing is that we feel that it's important to the kingdom. Mm-hmm. One of the Dave Ramsey little movies that we watch, and I couldn't find it to play it tonight, he ends it by asking, what do you think the kingdom of God would look like if God's people managed their resources or stewarded their resources the way that God asked them to? Imagine that. We're going to cover some statistics here it may amaze you. It makes me mad. because it hasn't changed in the 20 years we've been doing this. In fact, it's gotten worse. But it's important for us to get a handle on this, because it's going to give us the peace that we're deserved. The Lord has promised us peace. A good part of it, we're insured, we're promised to have that when we cross over. But in the meantime, we have to live in this earth.
Right.
And it's a whole lot easier if we follow his direction than if we ignore it.
Awesome. It's good. So, share some of these statistics. When you told me, I was blown away. But I think we have a slide here for us all to read.
Cue the statistics. Okay, what's pretty disheartening that in the United States, which is the richest country by far in the world, that 78% of American families live paycheck to paycheck. And a side note of that is that about half of those are really 1 month from being homeless if their income stream gets interrupted for a whole month. 89%, almost 90% of the households in the United States cannot cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing money. 50% of Americans have no retirement savings at all. And about half of the Americans that have put money away have less than $10,000 put away for retirement.
Wow.
The student loan situation is really unfortunate. It's unnecessary, and it's gotten out of hand. The average student loan payment right now is $394 a month. There's 44 million people that owe money through the student union program, and 9 million of those are in default. And a real quick bang on student loans: it is the worst thing that ever happened to education in the United States, and it is the most predatory loan in the world. The only way to get out of a student loan is to die. And I'm not kidding.
Or pay it off.
Or pay it off.
Right, yeah. Just
give
some hope here.
Yeah, there's
right.
A little hope.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do. But
you can't get out of it through bankruptcy. You can't get out of it through...
No, and if you never co-sign for a loan for anybody, period, ever. But if you co-sign for the student loan, here's another statistic about that. 40% of the people that take out student loans don't even get the degree that they were going after. But they owe the money anyway.
Right.
So the average new car payment is $554. And I know people tell me all the time, I use credit cards and I pay them off at the end of the month, and I know that 47% of them, just across the board, are not telling me the truth when they talk to me about that. It just doesn't happen. So that's some of the statistics, and we know that there's people in here that are on the good side of these statistics, and some of the folks in here may recognize themselves in some or all of these situations.
And this makes sense why in one of the richest counties in Virginia, which is one of the richest states in the nation, when you have 78% of families living paycheck to paycheck and 89% can't cover a $1,000 emergency, when their income stream does get interrupted, they need to borrow money they need to go get groceries from the church, which is it's mind-boggling. But there's even more, I think.
There's another page to the statistics.
Is this shocking to anyone so far? Yeah?
Yeah. And let me just tell you, we've been doing this for 20 years, and it's gotten worse on a national basis. There was a time when we were saving a little more money, but that's kind of gone out the window, too.
And this is also why emergency COVID funds were such a big deal, because no one had any savings.
Correct.
Right. They needed to not stop that income stream. So go ahead.
So when we talk about, and I kind of queued that up a little bit about what would the kingdom look like if the people of God, did kind of what they're asked to do. This is depressing to me. Of the people that go to church on a regular basis, and that means 2.5 times a month, okay, on average, only about 4% actually tithe. An additional 5% will give on a regular basis. About 40% of the people that go to church on a regular basis will give occasionally, and nearly 50% never give anything.
And that's because they're just really mean people.
Well, I think so.
No.
Yeah, and we're gonna send Guido over to your house and collect.
Yeah.
No, from doing this, a lot of sometimes it's a situation of the heart. Sometimes it's a situation that they don't know that they're, they don't know why you give money into the kingdom. They don't know what it goes for. Mm-hmm. But a good portion of those people that don't give anything or that only give occasionally are trying to give off of the bottom.
Right.
They run out of money before they run out of every month. And so rather than when we talk about faith, you do it up front, you do it first, and then you align your spending downline from that, eliminate the unnecessary things and so on. And then there would be money. The fact of the matter is, and I get a little callous about it, but if you tell me you can't live on 90%, I'm going to tell you you're probably not doing a good job on 100%. But anyway, those are some statistics.
And I was just kidding earlier. You guys aren't mean. I was just saying, if those people aren't mean, it's just, I was just pointing the fact that it's obviously because they don't have the funds, mostly.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't think mostly. They have the money.
Yeah, right.
They just don't think.
Yeah, and John, is there another slide, or is there only two for
There's
stats?
For statistics.
Okay. So I have a degree, a ministry degree, and went to seminary. But I'm going to ask you, because you're the finance guy. I know that scriptures say a lot about finances. What did you pull from your experience and the financials when it comes to scripture? Because this is more than just like good ethics. This is actually something the Bible really talks about a lot.
Yeah, it's actually in there. And so the Bible, according to my sources, mentions finance over 800 times. It's far more than it mentions anything else, way more. And if we're half wrong, it's still way out in the lead. Now, some of them, to be fair, are fairly obscure. You have to want it to be about finance before it makes sense. So I've only pulled out about 200 of those, and we're going to go through them tonight. So,
surprise!
Is that all right? Actually, can you bring up the one about the Bible? No.
Yep. Well, that's good too.
That's pretty good.
Fill it out.
Okay. What we're going to learn in Financial Peace is it's going to be centered around 5 main principles, and there's other verses that underscore this. But the very first one is the one that I put under take care of your family. It's Timothy 5:8. And it says, and this is pretty harsh, and I mean it to be, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than a non-believer. Mm. That's pretty hard. And yet, a lot of people that sit in church week in and week out aren't taking care of their family, even though they've got the new dirt bike and the big fancy pickup truck and the biggest screen television you can have and all that other things, because they are financing every single thing that they bring into the house. And they believe that because they can make the payments in their current situation, that they can afford all of this stuff. And really what they're doing, in my opinion, and it's more than just me, is that they're teaching their children to worship false idols and ignore the other 4 principles that we're going to cover here. So providing for your family, of course, means putting a roof over their head and food on the table. But it also means teaching your children in the way that they should go. Mm-hmm. And God doesn't have anything against the stuff that I just mentioned. But he really doesn't want this stuff to have you.
Amen.
And we see time and time again where people are not only house poor, but they're poor in other ways.
Car poor.
Car poor. And like Pat and I were, when we first started this, we were eating our retirement because we were justifying eating out 3 times a day, almost every day. Our McDonald's bill, actually we upgraded a little bit, but our eating out bill was more than our house payment some months. And we had a pretty big house. So, all right, well, moving on. One of the things that the Bible says, and it's very, very clear, is about debt. Don't borrow. Proverbs 22, 7? Mm-hmm. Says, and you've all heard this, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. That is absolutely true. It's true if we're talking about credit cards. It's true if we're talking about car loans. It's true if you loan money to your brother-in-law or you borrow money from your father-in-law or however that works. As soon as the money has to be paid back, as soon as it's a loan, then it changes the dynamic between you and whoever gave you the money. It also changes your lifestyle, whether you realize it or not. If you have monthly payments, and I don't care what it's for, if you have monthly payments, it factors into nearly everything that you do.
And it's kind of like a self-sabotager, because it builds and builds, and without realizing it, your monthly payment ends up being more than you can afford. And so then you're in a whole new mess, and people offer you other loans to pay off the other loans.
Right, yeah.
So it's this like, it's a what's that, quicksand. You know what's crazy? When I was a kid, I swore that I needed to learn how to get out of quicksand, because every show there was like a quicksand trap, and I thought I would encounter it. I've never encountered it in my life. It's much more rare than cartoons made it when I was growing up. But the type of quicksand that I would say exists is this borrowing and having debt. It's a slowly, the more you get it, the more it envelops you.
Yeah, it can. It can become like a Ponzi scheme if you start getting a credit card to pay off the other credit card. It never ends until you make it end. Saving for the future, Proverbs 21:20, and we all know that we should be saving for the future, but the Bible tells us to do this. It's not just something Grandma would have passed down. The wise store up choice food and oil, but the fools gulp theirs down, and I talked about that a little earlier up there under Take Care of Your Family, where a lot of folks just figure if they can make the payments that they can afford it. And the real fact is, when it comes to borrowing money to buy stuff and then make the payments on it, is that if you can't buy it, you haven't earned it. Now, that's pretty harsh. You may deserve it, maybe in your mind, but you haven't earned it until you've actually earned it. And so we're gonna try to work towards changing that mindset with the folks that still have it, and teach you to be intentional with your income and your outgo. Is there another slide there? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Big one.
Yeah, this is big, and it covers everybody, or should cover everybody. I won't read the whole thing, but Luke 14:28-30, for which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it. Otherwise, when he has built the foundation and is not able to finish, I guess I will read the whole thing.
Read it with passion.
All who see him begin to mock him. God, and there's probably more on planning in the Bible than a lot of the other issues. You must make a plan, and plans can be changed. We don't chisel them in stones. Not Moses coming down from the mount. But you make a plan, and you make that plan with your spouse. You make that plan with your kids. You make it. You make plans, and then you take steps to fulfill those plans. And so, whether we're talking about future purchases, like that F-350 pickup, or the big screen TV, or your home, or your retirement, you plan to do those things. You put money aside. And then the last one, and I don't want to beat this one to death, but do you have another one? Yeah. The Bible does tell us to give. And Deuteronomy, 15:10, give generously to him and do so without a grudging heart. When we go back to the people that aren't giving anything, some of them don't realize that applies to them as well. But a lot of folks that do give are taking away from something else because they don't have the plan, they don't have the money management skills, and they might give grudgingly. They can't give. They can't be a cheerful giver.
Right.
And what we're going to do is teach you to take care of all those other things so you can take care of this.
Yeah, and I find entering into a budget, in that number 4 planner budget can be one of the scariest things at first, but also one of the most relieving and freeing things once you get done it, because you do have that plan, and then you can incorporate ways to give. And feel great about it, because you're not giving going like, oh, I hope this works out in the end of the month, but you're giving because you're like, yeah, I've set this aside, and I want to give it to the Lord, or give it to a mission, or give it to someone in need. This is freeing. This is what freedom is, and it's so biblical. And so I'm so glad that you're doing this. So obviously you went through these 5 points, Bob. I know we have just a little bit of time left. Why Financial Peace University?
Okay, well, what Financial Peace University does, there's other programs out there that do it as well. And in our heart or in our mind, we know what we're supposed to be doing. The Bible says an awful lot about what we're supposed to be doing, but it doesn't actually tell us how to do it. Real short on details. And so what Financial Peace University does is it gives us not only the education to what we're supposed to be doing, but it gives us some education, and it gives us actual tools so we can walk this out. Things like insurance and I say mutual funds, but investing were even covered in the Bible. But the way it was done then is way different than what we have now. So as we go through Financial Peace, we're going to learn how to budget. We're going to learn, first off, we're going to learn to determine exactly what our income is, because you'd be surprised how many people don't even know that. We're going to determine, we're going to do a budget so we know where the money went. Because if you don't tell your money where to go, it'll get up and walk out. I mean, there's no two ways around that. Beyond the budgeting, we're going to learn about getting out of debt, staying out of debt. We're going to get some really good information about how to ward off. We're going to put on a suit of armor so that we're able to ward off, the enemy. We are the most marketed to people on the planet. And some of the marketing, especially when it concerns credit, but some of the marketing is just flat a lie. Some of it is not, but we still get caught up in the gotta have it now. So we're gonna help you put on some armor. We're gonna give you some information about how to get around that, how to ward it off, not fall into those things.
Yeah.
We're gonna teach you. Where's the slide with everything on it? Financial peace is the center of what we're going to be doing, but there's some other information that we're going to be doing concurrently, because it's important to have the whole package. We're going to start with a prerequisite called Jumpstart, and that's going to tell you why you're here, what you're doing, why it's important. We're going to do the financial piece, which is the center one up there. That's 9 weeks, 2 hours every week, plus some homework. For those who have kids, or going to have kids, or have grandkids, thinking about it, whatever. Where is it? Nope, back up. The one that calls Smart Money, Smart Kids. We're going to be walking through that as well, not in class, but outside of class, and that's going to teach you why and how to teach your children the fundamentals and get them started at an earlier age. And it's broken up into age groups, so it covers all the way up to college-age kids. There's a class on budgeting. Budgeting is the cornerstone of this. If you don't have a written budget, you're going to fail, period. There's no other way around it. But a lot of us have never done a budget. We don't know how to do it. So there's a budgeting class that we'll be taking. There's a legacy journey that we'll be getting into, and I'll just touch on that. That's how to perpetuate the financial peace process in the congregation going forward, so that as a family, we're all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and then there's one that's real quick to how to know your money, or know yourself, know your money. We all relate to money differently, and so we'll be taking a look at that, because the way we grew up, or the way that we've grown to consider money, has a lot to do with the other decisions that we're going to be making. So it's real important to know where you're at there.
Yeah, it's so good. And I just want to make clear, the church, we want to provide this for everyone. And if it's something that you feel like, I basically have a lot of stuff under control, but even as an educational experience, it's very good for people. And secondly, the church benefits in no way from you taking Financial Peace University. Like, there's no kickback to the church. What we've done actually is we've paid for it so that you could sign up for free. I mean, this is like $100 or so for you to take.
Just the one class.
Just for one class is $100 or so for the average person to take this. We bought a license so that you guys could take it for free, because in my opinion, being whole, having peace, is not just having peace because you're reconciled with God, but all the things else that comes with that, like spiritual peace, financial peace, emotional, mental peace. So this is something for our church to take advantage of so that we can become whole. All right? And so I encourage you to sign up. I encourage you to take it as a person attending our church, and getting the knowledge for it, and then also being able to encourage others to do it. Because once we release this after today, it's going to be released to the city, because I want the city to be free too. And so anyone in the city who wants to come and take Financial Peace University at our church on Tuesday nights will be able to sign up for free. And they get all the tools that come along with it. All the financial tools that you get it'll come to you online that normally people would have to pay for. I think the financial tools online add up to like
about $400.
About $400. That's also free for you. So this isn't I'm not trying to sell you on something. I'm just trying to clarify here, guys. This is actually, I want you to take it because I want you to get free. And so.
Do we have time for the video?
Yeah, we'll play a video and then kind of show you how to sign up, and then we'll end in prayer. Okay.
Close to 20 years, families have been changing their futures through Financial Peace University.
I started it with a bad suit and an overhead projector. I set the room for 135 people, 4 people came. And now today we've had over 1.5 million families go through this course. That's over 2 million people across this nation.
You may be wondering, what is it?
What Financial Peace University is about is a return to God's ways of handling money, but in a very practical, step-by-step game plan showing you exactly how to do it.
FPU is about learning how to control your money.
When you make these dollars behave, you're going to get this sense of power over your money that you've never, ever had. Don't move into a home with 62 debts or 6 debts or 2 debts and no money. You move into a home broke with a bunch of debt around your neck, Murphy will move in your spare bedroom, bring his 3 cousins, broke, desperate, and stupid.
Marriages are being made stronger. Couples are learning how to talk to each other about money and getting on the same page.
The closest statistical correlation to success going through this program are those that actively engage in this budgeting process. And for those that are married, they're doing it together. You change your life when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. When you get disgusted and you have that moment where you say, I've had it. I'm not going to live like this anymore. We're done. We're changing this thing. Talk about the why. Talk about your dreams. Ask your spouse, what would we do? Where would we travel to? What would we buy? What would be changed if we became something as a couple where we were working together on that? Now, man, I'm sure you know this, and we've been talking about it for the last few minutes, but it's very true. Women are different, aren't they? Say yes. One of the things you may or may not know is they have a gland right in here that you don't have. It's called the security gland. And when she is feeling insecure due to money issues, that gland spasms. And it is attached to her face.
This 9-lesson, 90-minute class will challenge you.
Now, this is a boot camp. I'm your coach. And so I'm gonna make you uncomfortable sometimes. You're gonna go home and go, I don't really like him tonight. Now, I don't know if I agree with that, which would make you wrong. That's what happens when the coach coaches you, doesn't it? He kind of rubs you the wrong way. There's a little friction on there, right? I've had some good coaches, and they lit me up a time or two, but it caused me to go places I couldn't go otherwise.
Life change is never easy, but you won't be alone. You'll watch a DVD each week and discuss it with your small group. Your classmates will encourage you and help you take those first steps. You'll walk away from FPU knowing how to relate with money. You'll learn how to pay off debt and save for the future. And you'll learn how to protect your plan. We aren't born knowing everything we need to about money. We learn, and there's no better place to learn than the Word. The Bible offers more than 800 scriptures on money, and Financial Peace University is based on that solid foundation.
You are literally going to be doing things every week differently than you ever have based on biblical principles. Things like doing a budget, things like working with your spouse, things like singles having an accountability partner, things like teaching your kids so that a godly man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. It's not theory. This is actual application on everything. What would happen if the people of God started handling money God's ways? What would happen? What would happen to the kingdom of God if the people of God were out of debt?
All you need is a plan. Financial Peace University is that plan.
Well, I'm super excited. That was a great video. I hope you guys are excited. I hope that this will entice you to sign up. We have over 100 people, I believe, at this point signed up, including our staff. And so if you want to be a part of this next group, sign up. It's going to be for Tuesday nights starting January 25th. And it'll be for 9 weeks. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, one other thing that occurred to me, there are some people that have taken the course and they're telling me they don't need to take it. I would just ask you how many times you've read your Bible and got something different, even from the same passages over and over. Pat and I have been doing this for 20 years. We've given this course in this kind of a setting probably 16 or 17 times, another 15 or 20 individually with couples and individuals. And we learn something every single time. So regardless of how many times you've taken it, it's a new program, and I would encourage you to come take it, especially with the added on material. You're going to learn something, and you're going to learn how to pass it down. And so the old timers and the newcomers are invited to take this.
Yeah, come on. There's we're in the digital age now, so if you are interested in doing this, out in the lobby, there are QR codes on a table out there. You just scan it with your phone and click the link, and it'll put you to our class that you can sign up for. Yeah, and also if that's too confusing for you, you can there'll be somebody out there who'll help you walk you through that, and we'll just have faith for that. And or you can just call the church and we'll send it to you. We'll send you the link or whatnot. So, but I encourage you to do that. And why don't we stand? Childcare is provided. We're trying to remove as many obstacles as we can for families to come and do this. So we are going to have childcare provided. If you want to bring your children, you have to sign them up so that we know how many, if they have allergies, how many staff workers we might need. So there is a link that will be sent to you when you sign up to register your children. So that's a great question. Thank you, Kristen. It's at 7 o'clock, 6:30. I'm really good at this. 6:30 on Tuesdays, starting January 25th.
Doors will open about 6 o'clock, so we can get.
You have a mic in your hand. Oh, doors will open. He wants me to enter. Doors will open about 6 o'clock. So, good.
I broke it.
Yeah, you broke it. Okay. Well, let's pray. God, I just thank you for this mighty group of men and women that you've commissioned, God. God, I thank you that there is no financial difficulty that's too great for you. And Lord, I thank you that you choose to co-labor in our success. You choose to co-labor in the fruit in our life. And even though it's all divine, God, I just thank you that you don't just abandon us into your own thing, but you actually choose to use us. And so, Lord, I just thank you. We invite you into every area of our life, including our finances. Lord, I pray that we would get biblical understanding and foundations when it comes to finances, and that we would be able to bless so many other people because of the fruit of the life that comes out of these things. And Lord, I pray for your leading, your direction in their life. God, I pray that they have a wonderful, amazing week, and that you fill them with your joy and your peace as they follow you. In Jesus' name, amen. Bless you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. We'll continue our Presence series next week, and I'm excited about that. So bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob. Give it up for Bob Harrington.